So this is going to be a video I'm going to do on the WA pattern STANAG magazines. If you have a Golden Eagle, King Arms, GMP Walk, any of those, you know, especially if you get a Golden Eagle, when you buy one of these mags, they leak. They just don't hold gas at all. It's leaking. This one's doing it out of the bottom. Blow gas out. Yeah, they like never work from the factory. I don't know why. I don't even know why they still make these. They have the P mags, which I suggest, or getting GHK magazines. I know the GHK P mags work. I don't know about the GHK STANAGs, but recommend them over getting these unless you're dumb like me and you like getting cheap mags and then fixing them. So this is one that I have fixed. You can see, holds gas, no leaks. So to take one of these apart, you're going to need a small screwdriver. This is a metric set, and it works the best I found. I think it's a Phillips #1. You're going to need probably a pair of pliers to separate the upper and lower half of the internal gas reservoir. And then you're going to need a punch set, because these things, for some reason, I think it has like 12 pins in it that hold the whole thing together. You can see 4 right here for the feed track, and then there's one down there, there's one there, and there's some hidden underneath the feed track. So we're going to need that to take it apart. To start, you're going to have to remove the top screws. Okay, and now that you've removed those, you can just remove the top. If you lever it forward, you can see it pops. What's holding it in place is the feed track. Some people take the feed track off first, but if you do that, the spring and follower are going to like shoot out. I've bent one before, slightly, one of the springs had to bend it back, so I don't recommend that. I recommend taking the top off first. Okay, so it helps if you push down the follower. Like I just took the screwdriver, push down, and then you have to like lever up at the back and push forward, so you have to like pick up and then push kind of sort of and wiggle it, and it'll pop off. So now, get the light on there. You can see the follower. To get this out, you have to get it past the stop on empty. See, I'm pushing the back. Oh yeah. This is your dry fire spring. Goes in here. Now it's off. You have to get it past. There we go. Just kind of got to wiggle it and be careful. Spring's fragile. Follower's now out. Okay, now that the follower's out, you have to start punching pins, the fun part. Okay, so this is a Imperial. Yes, this is an Imperial punch set that I have. And I use the smallest one I have is a 1 16th. That's what I use. That's what you use for the follower pins. Which ones else? You also need a couple, like a slightly bigger one, like that's a 5/64th, and then this is a 3/32. You probably use a metric one, but it's pretty simple. These are just roll pins, so you just take it. You could probably even just push them out. See, pin. Okay. I've punched out all 4 pins. You literally just, this just kind of shimmies. It's being held on partially by the bottom. There's like little lips and it hooks onto here. So you just slide it out. And then next is you can either remove the bottom first or the top first. And this is you're gonna be accessing the pressure chamber in here. So you need to make sure there's absolutely no gas in this. Otherwise, you're going to punch it out, and it's going to, whatever end you take off is going to explode out. There's, what, 2 pins for the bottom? Yeah, 2 pins. There's one here, and then there's one underneath that you can't see. And then for the top, there's also 2 pins. There's a pin here and a pin here. I usually take the top off first. So once you punch the first 2 pins out, it gets kind of a pain in the butt, and there are 2 major parts you can lose. So you can, when you take this out, you have to make sure not to lose this, the stop on empty. That's really important. And then this over here is the valve lock. You can see, so if you push, if you don't know how that works, you push it in, see it pops up, and this is holding this open, and your bolt rides over top and releases it. This is because these were originally designed for duster gas in Japan, not propane. If I remember correctly, these aren't needed. I don't use them. I've heard it can cause issues in full auto if you do remove them. But I can't use full auto in my fields with a rifle, and it's not really effective in a gas blowback anyway, so I always take these out because it's one less thing causing damage to the carrier, because this is a steel roller, and it'll eventually grind like a pathway in your carrier, so I always remove that. This is where you're either going to need pliers or a flat head. Try to get a flat head. So it's in, and lever it, get into the middle one. Okay, so now that you punch those 2 pins out and you've pulled this free, you have to be really careful when you pull this out, because you'll have the valve lock here, and then, oh, there goes the stop on empty. So you have 3 parts in the valve lock. You have the little roller, the arm, and there's a spring. It's a pain in the butt to put that back together. And then on the flip side, it goes in like this. There you go. It'll be in there like that. And you have to make sure not to lose these, especially the stop on empty, because then you won't know when the gun's out of ammo and it won't look back. So don't lose that. Set these aside. Pull this free. And you'll see probably one of the main reasons these always leak. You can see this O-ring is it's pushed up both sides here on this corner, and it is mangled. You might have to do some trimming on these seals. I'm guessing it's just because they're trying to interference fit it, so they don't really care. They just like push this in there and shove it in, I'm guessing, without any sort of care in the world whether or not they're not going to make the mag work. So I pull off the seals. There's that one. This is usually the one that leaks for the upper, or it's your valve itself. So I take that off, set it aside, and then here's where you need pliers, or there are dedicated tools for this, but I just use some pliers and I'm careful. Okay, so once you remove this, you have, oh boy. If it's not leaking, you probably shouldn't mess with it. It's a pain. You have an O-ring here, an O-ring, pop that out, right here. There's an O-ring right here, and then there's a C-clip or an E-clip, I've also heard them called, on the top that holds this plunger assembly in. There's an O-ring underneath the brass bit right here that, of course, stops gas from leaking through the separate part into this steel rod. Now, this one's leaking from the bottom, so I'm not going to take this apart, but if you have a top leak and you've properly lubed the top, it might be your valve. I'm just going to put some lubricant on these main 2 O-rings and then put it back together. And for this, PTFE Super Lube, or Super Lube PTFE grease, this is what you should use. Not what is it, silicone oil? Yeah, silicone oil. This stuff actually sticks and stays. It doesn't get thrown around and gummed up and not actually be effective. Okay, if you did decide to lube up your valve, if you do have a leak there on any of those O-rings, of course you just screw it back in. Okay, now that's back in. Still functions. You want to make sure not to crank these in there. You can damage them. So, there was that upper seal I removed earlier, and you can see on these corners, it's just chewed up from whoever installed it. Move this over. There is another seal on this bottom, on the stem. Okay, so besides the seal that was here, this one, which is usually one of the main culprits, there's one hidden under here. I don't know what this part's called, probably like a gas stem or something. Just give it a little wiggle as you pull, be careful. There's another one. I will be lubing everything up in this video, just to make sure I don't have any problems. But if you're just trying to fix one thing, like let's say you know the top is leaking, you don't want to forget about this one because it could be this. Okay, so it might take some finagling. Just took me like 2 or 3 minutes to get that on properly. Make sure it's in good. Take the screw, screw it down. Good seal. So next, I'm going to put this back on. I'm going to cut these, the little bits that have been shredded by the person at the factory who installed it without a care in the world. Okay. I have now trimmed this. Once again, PTFE Super Lube. Take some, put it on my finger, and I just slather every seal in it. Okay. Nice lubed up. I do put it back. I'm going to put it back together, the upper part at least, because this is done. So I just set it in there, and then I'm taking my stop on empty, which goes on the left side of the magazine. The little bit, the actual bit that interfaces with your bolt catch goes on the back. There is a pin. Just goes in that hole. And then you take the actual part that interacts with the follower. The top L bit goes up. There's a pin here that it rocks on, and then it connects to the part in the back. And just have to slide it in. Gotta be careful of the O-ring when you're doing this, of course, so you don't mangle it. Okay, it's in. Stop on empty's in. This is gonna be a hard part because the PTFE is now in the O-ring seal. It's of course making it seal a lot better, and it's gonna be hard to push this in and put the pins in. So I usually take one of my larger punches from here. And I will take the flat bit, not that bit, because that's not a solid thing. And I'll come to the top right in the middle and I'll push. And then check to see if the holes are lined up. Front and back are lined up. And now you just reinstall the pins. Okay, now that you've put your 2 pins in, front and back, I usually check the integrity of the magazine. Of course, if you'll have a top one and you do this, the bottom isn't leaking. So the top isn't leaking. So I didn't make it worse. It's always good. Now to address the part on this mag that is leaking, the bottom. So there's this middle pin, and then there's a pin in here that holds on this plastic base plate. Okay, once you remove this too, the plastic, you have to be careful with this. They break a lot. It's really fragile. Take off the plastic bottom bit. And as you can see, that broke probably just from punching out the pin. These also like to break that clip onto the middle. So don't feel too bad. It doesn't do anything integral except for cover up. You see it? It's the bottom base plate of the mag where mine's leaking. Okay. So, yeah, once you remove the bottom, you'll see, I really don't have good lighting, which sucks. You can see the lip there. This entire middle bit that's sloped is removable. And you can probably see that the bottom O-ring is absolutely mangled because it looks like they hammered this in. You can see the chatter marks right there. This part's a pain. Once again, I take like a flathead. So I usually come from the back with one of these, and slip it in, and then tilt up, and you can see it's popping up. Try not to damage the O-ring anymore. You have to be careful also when you're prying like this, because the O-ring is right there. There it is. Boom. So this is the bottom. Interestingly, it's not damaged. That is perfectly intact. So once again, same process. I take PTFE Super Lube, coat it, just all of it, and put it back on. Okay. So now that it is covered in lube, you can see there's, you really can't. I hate my lighting. Let's see if I can get a good shot. You can see that there's a gap right there. And then there's, it's like L-shaped bit that comes out. That's how you know to put it in correctly. So once you've lubed it up and you put it back together, make sure both pins are in because they both hold in that bottom plate. You want to test it. Small leak, usually what I do. I literally just do this rotational thing with my wrist. Slight bubbling from the bottom, it should subside. And then just let it sit. You do want to make sure that you leave these filled. Do not empty your mags. These mags specifically, I've done it before once and I had to take it apart and do this whole process again. It will lose pressure. So the upper part of the magazine feed track cover is basically smooth. So there's nothing here. Other side, there's a little lip here and two lips here. Just slide it on. Okay, so once you put this on, you want to make sure that the pins are sticking out decently far on each side because they're a little bit shorter than the width of this. So you want to make sure one's not like flush on this side and then there's nothing on this side. You want to make sure they're equally in the holes to reduce stress on the feed track whenever you load the magazine. So next is spring and follower. There's a side with a hole and the one that isn't. The side with the hole is the one that faces outward. You just feed it in. Starts getting difficult towards the end. Ooh, gotta be careful. And then you want to make sure you push it past and that it catches on the stop on empty. You don't want to touch it because it will pop out. So next is going to be the top of the magazine with the feed lips and gas router. 4 parts that come apart. Stupid stop on empty. Goes in the slot. So you have to be careful not to damage the bottom part of the gas router when you put this on, and you want to also make sure not to lose your stop on empty, so you kind of gotta... There we go. It's in. Put the 2 screws in. Okay, now it's back together, fully lubed, sealed. Nope, bottom stopped even bubbling. This magazine's good to go. They are a pain in the butt to maintain, but they can be found cheap on eBay. I got this one for $13. I got 2 of them for $13 each, both of these. So yeah, you can sometimes find these for really cheap. I do suggest, if you're going to use your WA platform a bunch, probably either converting for VFC or just buying GHK mags. You can find any of the other rare WA style, like I think, was it ProWin, and there's a bunch of other random Inakatsu, but these are not the best, but you can make them work. Thank you all for watching. I hope you guys found this video informative.